My name is Rachel. I'm 29 years old and run a digital forensics firm in Seattle. It's not as glamorous as it sounds. Most days I'm buried under metadata, corrupted chat logs, and endless requests from lawyers asking if I can make the bad thing go away. I work in truth. Unfiltered, time-stamped, cold, hard, digital truth. But even truth has layers. And sometimes, the people closest to you know exactly how to bury it. Like my sister, Jenna. 2 years older, a law school grad, and the so-called pride of our family. She was everything I wasn't. Polished, charming, always saying the right thing at the right time. In family photos, she'd glow while I stood in the background, like someone who accidentally walked into the frame. It didn't always hurt, but when it did, it cut deep. The thing is, I never competed with Jenna. I thought we were on the same side. I used to help her prepare for court by double-checking her references, proofing her presentations, even running simulations of her cross-examinations. Never for credit. Always in the background. Until one morning, everything fell apart. It started with a ping from my best friend Alex. "You okay?" his message said. I frowned. Why wouldn't I be? Then came a screenshot. Then 2 more. My hands went cold as I stared at them. They were messages. From me. Except I had never written them. They were cruel, racist, and disturbingly personal. Each one more outrageous than the last. They looked like they were sent from my account. Time-stamped, formatted exactly like my chat style. But I knew instantly. They weren't real. I'd never written any of this. And yet, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. My coworkers, my LinkedIn contacts, my former clients, even my landlord. Everyone wanted an explanation. Some were angry. Others just quietly backed away. I checked the messages again, this time from the angle of my work. The pixelation was too clean. The metadata didn't match. The text rendering was inconsistent with my phone's OS. They were fake. But they were perfectly fake. Then another message arrived, this one from my mom. "Rachel, what on earth did you send Jenna?" I stared at the screen in disbelief. It didn't make sense, unless Jenna had done it herself. I didn't want to believe it, but my gut said otherwise. My phone vibrated again. An email from the Bar Association. They'd received an anonymous tip that I'd been threatening legal professionals. Attached to it, Henny Fatty. The same screenshots. My heart sank. This wasn't just about ruining my name. It was about destroying my life, professionally and personally. And the worst part? It looked like it might work. Because if anyone could make a lie look like the truth, it was Jenna. But what she didn't count on, Yiko, was that I know exactly how to dig up the original truth. And this time, I wasn't going to do it quietly. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation I'd ever had with Jenna. Had I missed a sign? A warning? Or had she just been waiting for the perfect moment to strike? By sunrise, my inbox had over 200 unread messages. The comments on my company's website had turned into a storm of outrage. One former client even tagged me in a post calling me a disgrace to digital justice. And Jenna? She was silent. Not a text, not a call, not even a lazy "what's going on" message. That silence confirmed everything. She wasn't blindsided, she was behind it. Around noon, I got a call from our mother. She didn't even say hello. "Rachel," she snapped, "how could you send that to your sister?" "What are you talking about?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Don't play dumb." She showed us the messages. I stayed quiet, because what do you say when your own family doesn't even ask if the accusations are real? Naka ulamar I, they just believe them. "I can't even repeat what you said," my mother continued, voice trembling. "She's been crying for hours. We raised you better." I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because Jenna had finally done it. She'd turned my entire family against me with a few forged screenshots. After we hung up, I went straight to work. I knew I had one chance to get ahead of this, so I opened my laptop, pulled up the screenshots from Alex, and began a full forensic analysis. I dissected the font rendering, compared the background noise pixelation, checked the chat bubble spacing. And then it hit me, they weren't screenshots from a phone. They were mock-ups. Created using a chat simulation website meant for pranks and fake text stories. The kind teenagers use to pretend they were texting celebrities. It wasn't even a good one. It added an extra line break between every 3 messages. That was mistake number 1. By the end of the hour, I had a list of 9 inconsistencies. Enough to prove these were fabricated. But proving it wasn't enough. Not anymore. Because even if I exposed the fake messages, Jenna had planted the seed. People already believed the worst. I needed more than truth. I needed impact. That's when I remembered the old server logs from our shared family tablet, the one Jenna used years ago when her phone broke. I'd installed a background sync tool to troubleshoot it. If she'd used that same email or messaging account recently, there might still be a trace. So I opened my archive directories. And there it was. Jenna had logged in using the same chat simulation tool. 3 days before the screenshots went viral, she'd even downloaded a trial version of a photo editing app. I froze. Right there in the system metadata was her IP address, her login timestamp, and the exact folder she saved the images to. She didn't just fake messages. She planted evidence from my own devices. I leaned back in my chair. The digital fingerprints were everywhere. This wasn't just sabotage. This was criminal. And I knew exactly where to take it. The next morning, I walked into the office of Elena Kim, defense attorney. Smart, ruthless, and famously allergic to liars. We'd worked together once on a cyberstalking case. She didn't like me then, said I was too cold for someone who uncovers truth for a living. But she respected my work. And right now, I needed someone who respected results. Elena sat back in her chair, brows raised, as I laid out the evidence. Fake screenshots, metadata inconsistencies, IP logs, photo editing timestamps. Jesus, she muttered, flipping through the printouts. Your sister's an idiot. She's a lawyer, I said. Exactly, Elena replied. She should have known how easy this would be to trace. Then she leaned in, eyes sharp. But what's your goal? Court? I said without blinking. Civil or criminal? Both. She whistled low. Hell hath no fury like a digital analyst scorned. I didn't smile. Because this wasn't about fury, it was about survival. Elena agreed to represent me. We started drafting cease and desist letters that afternoon. Then we filed a motion for a formal defamation suit. Elena said I could win, but it would be messy, because the court of public opinion had already convicted me. And Jenna? She was thriving, posting vague quotes on Instagram about betrayal from those closest to you, receiving sympathy comments from friends, clients, and law colleagues. She even made a podcast appearance titled, When Family Turns Toxic. I couldn't listen to it. Not because it hurt, but because the voice I once trusted now sounded like a weapon. Within a week, Jenna's firm released a statement, quote, standing by her during this difficult time. Meanwhile, I lost 2 contracts, 3 sponsorships, and a speaking slot at a national cybersecurity conference. Guilt by screenshot. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just gathered more data. Because the deeper I looked, the sloppier Jenna became. She reused the same login email for her fake chat builder and her professional Dropbox. She accidentally uploaded a test version of the fake screenshots, complete with editing layers. And best of all, she had synced her account with her smart TV. A forensic goldmine, because one of the images, one of the fake messages from me, had been opened on her TV 2 hours before it leaked. Screenshots don't just appear on TVs unless you send or view them there. I documented everything, filed it under one long, encrypted case file. Elena looked at it and said, We're going to destroy her. I shook my head. I'm not here to destroy her. Elena raised an eyebrow. Oh? I met her gaze. I'm here to disarm her. Permanently. 2 weeks after I filed the lawsuit, Jenna showed up at my office. Uninvited. unannounced, wearing a tan trench coat and sunglasses, like she thought she was starring in some legal thriller. I didn't flinch. I just stood behind my desk, arms crossed, as she walked in like she still owned the narrative. "So this is where the magic happens," she said, eyes scanning my office. I didn't offer her a seat. "You came to confess?" I asked. Her smirk faltered for a fraction of a second. Then she pulled it back. "You're overreacting," she said, her voice softening into that patronizing tone she always used with our parents. "It was just a joke that got out of hand." My jaw clenched. "You sent falsified evidence to the Bar Association." Her smile vanished. She reached into her purse, pulled out her phone, and held it like a threat. "I can still fix this," she said. "We can both walk away without blood." I stared at her, then said quietly, "Jenna, I don't want to walk away." She blinked. "What?" "I want to show people." I turned my monitor so she could see the paused frame of a security video. Footage from my office entrance. Time-stamped. Clear audio. It showed Jenna entering my office moments ago. But more importantly, I had her voice now. Her admitting it was a joke, that it got out of hand, that she could still fix it. A partial confession. Legally gray, but powerfully public. She paled. "You recorded me." "This is a digital forensics firm," I said, deadpan. "What did you think I do here?" She looked stunned, cornered for the first time. I could lose everything. "So could I said. "But the difference is, I didn't lie." She started pacing, mumbling about how it all started with one fake message to get back at me for something stupid. Something stupid turned out to be a job offer I got years ago, a role she applied for and didn't get. She blamed me because the recruiter reached out to me after seeing my article online. She always hated that I didn't need to network or wine and dine. My work just spoke, and hers didn't. "This was never supposed to spiral like this," she whispered. "But it did," I replied, "and now you're standing in the middle of it." I didn't yell. I didn't gloat. I just handed her a printed copy of the lawsuit. Defamation. Emotional damages. Intentional interference with professional relationships. She looked down at it like it was acid. And then she said the one thing that sealed her fate. "I'll deny everything." I turned the monitor back around and hit play. Her voice filled the room. "It was just a joke that got out of hand." She froze. And I said, "Good luck denying that in court." The first court date came faster than expected. Elena said it was rare for a defamation suit to gain this much early traction, but the evidence I had was airtight. More than that, it was visual. Screenshots, metadata trails, video confessions, and the cherry on top? A forensic report signed by an independent analyst confirming that the messages Jenna submitted were fabricated. Jenna's lawyer tried to stall. Tried to argue that the screenshots could have been misunderstood. That context was missing. But the judge? And then he wasn't buying it. "This isn't about misinterpretation," he said, flipping through the binder of evidence Elena handed him. "This is about malicious fabrication." Jenna looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her makeup couldn't hide the panic behind her eyes. Every time I glanced her way, I saw the same girl who used to yank the charger out of my laptop just to annoy me. Only now, she was sitting behind a defense table, watching her entire career burn. We submitted the system logs from her smart TV, the session timestamps from her chat simulation tool, the file name trail that showed her exporting multiple versions of the same fake images. And then, the final blow. The video. The one from my office. Her voice, clear and unmistakable, saying it started as a joke, admitting it got out of hand. The courtroom fell silent. The judge removed his glasses and said, "Miss Evans, do you deny this is your voice?" She didn't answer. She just stared at her hands, knuckles white. "I need a verbal response," the judge prompted. Jenna looked up. And for the first time, her voice cracked. It's me. There it was. The lie collapsing under the weight of the truth. No spinning, no gaslighting. Just the raw, ugly admission that she had tried to destroy me for nothing but jealousy. Elena leaned over and whispered, "That's the end. You just won." But I didn't feel victorious. Not really. Because watching your sister fall apart in front of a judge isn't satisfying. It's tragic. After court, I walked past her without stopping. But as I reached the exit, she said softly, "Rachel, I'm sorry." I turned back, looked her straight in the eyes. "I know," I said, then walked away. Because forgiveness might come later, but accountability had to come first. Winning in court didn't feel like victory. It felt like survival, like crawling out of a burning house with nothing but your own skin. But legally, I was cleared. My name restored. My record intact. The Bar Association dropped its investigation. I got a formal apology letter, not from Jenna, but from their ethics board. Professional endorsements trickled back. Sponsors called. Some were cautious, but most were stunned. "Turns out the screenshots were fake?" one asked. I answered plainly. They were never real, just believable lies. The internet, however, wasn't so forgiving. The fake messages had been shared thousands of times. Posted on forums, dissected on podcasts, screenshotted into oblivion. Even though Jenna publicly admitted she faked them, most people didn't care. Because scandal is sticky, apologies are boring. And a woman defending herself? Never quite as interesting as a woman being accused. I learned that quickly. Even after the court ruling, I still got messages. "Glad the judge believed you. I still think something's off. You both seem toxic." They weren't looking for truth. They were looking for entertainment. And I had unwillingly become their drama series. But I kept my head down, went back to work, restored the contracts I could, rebuilt my online reputation brick by digital brick. Meanwhile, Jenna's life cracked. Her law firm quietly dropped her. They didn't want to be associated with someone who weaponized forged evidence. Some of her friends stopped responding to her texts. Even her Instagram, once full of glam poses and curated captions, went silent. Then one day, I got a voicemail. It was Jenna. She sounded hollow, like someone trying not to cry but failing. "I know you probably won't respond," she said, "but I needed to say it. I never thought it would get that far. I didn't think you'd fight back. I thought you'd just disappear like always." She paused. "I guess I never realized how strong you were until I watched you destroy me." I sat with that for a long time. Not the part where she admitted guilt. The part where she said she thought I'd just disappear. Because for years, I had. Whenever she hurt me, dismissed me, took credit for things I built, I had stepped aside, stayed quiet, played the background. Until now. That's what shook her. Not that I exposed the truth, but that I finally stepped forward to own it. Not with rage, but with evidence. And now the world saw her the way I always had. Not as a polished perfectionist, but as a person who mistook silence for weakness and underestimated the girl who always played behind the scenes. 3 weeks after the ruling, Jenna's lawyer reached out. Not Elena, her lawyer. The same one who tried to spin my evidence as misinterpretation. He asked if I'd be willing to settle the civil suit quietly. "She's willing to pay damages," he said. "How much?" I asked. He hesitated. 30,000. I laughed. Not because it was low, though it was, but because it said everything about how Jenna still saw this. 30 grand to erase months of humiliation, years of family division, thousands lost in sponsorships and trust. It wasn't a settlement, it was a bribe to forget. So I didn't say no. But I didn't say yes either. Instead, I made my own offer. "I'll take the settlement," I said, "but only if she delivers a formal, signed apology." "To you?" the lawyer asked. "No," I replied. "To the same public platforms where she first posted the lie." There was a long silence on the other end, then a click. The next day, I got an email. Subject line, "Final terms accepted." Attached was a signed apology. Short, precise, and drafted with a kind of legal care that dripped with regret. But it was real. It said, "I fabricated evidence that harmed my sister's career and reputation. Everything I posted was false. I take full responsibility and deeply apologize for the damage I caused." And then she posted it. On her law firm's alumni group. On her social profiles. Even on the subreddit where the original drama exploded. It was surreal, watching the same people who once trashed me now turn on her. Some mocked her. Others dragged her name through the mud. A few, very few, just said, "Wow, respect for owning up." But I didn't care about the comments. I cared about the record. About truth, sitting where the lies had lived. For the first time in weeks, my name was clear and clean. No more explaining. No more defending. The damage wouldn't disappear overnight. But the record was mine again. And Jenna? She paid. 30 grand. Her reputation. And the last word. I didn't gloat. I just transferred the funds to a scholarship foundation for women in cybersecurity. Named it anonymously. But the cause? Sheberco, was personal. I even wrote the dedication myself. For every woman who's ever had her voice faked, her truth questioned, and her silence mistaken for surrender, this is for you. And when I hit submit, I didn't feel revenge. I felt peace, the kind that comes when the person who buried you has to dig themselves out. After the settlement went public, things with my family got quiet. Not peaceful. Just eerily still. No calls, no texts, not even a passive-aggressive meme from Mom. It was like I'd become the embarrassing relative they didn't know how to mention. The one who made everything worse by standing up for herself. I didn't expect an apology. But I hoped for something. Some recognition that Jenna wasn't the only one who broke something. Because when the screenshots dropped, none of them paused to ask if they were real. Not even once. They just picked their favorite daughter and locked arms around her. So when I got the invitation to Grandma's 80th birthday dinner, I nearly deleted it. It was a group text. No direct message. Just a blanket RSVP request. Like nothing had ever happened. I showed it to Elena, half joking. "Should I bring a printed transcript of the trial as my +1? She raised an eyebrow. "Or just wear a shirt that says Exhibit A?" We both laughed. But the truth was, I didn't know if I could go. Not because I was scared of Jenna, but because I wasn't sure who I'd be walking into that room as. The scapegoat? The villain? The warning? But something told me to show up. Not for them. For me. So I went. Wore a simple navy dress. Tied my hair back, like I always did when I wanted to feel in control. I walked in 10 minutes late, deliberately. The room quieted. Forks paused. Eyes tracked me like I was radioactive. And there she was. Jenna. Across the table. Hair curled, smile plastered on. But her eyes? Avoiding mine. Our parents stiffened when they saw me. Dad looked down at his plate. Mom forced a small smile and said, "Hi, honey." I didn't hug anyone. Didn't pretend. Just found my seat. Marked with a name card like this was some kind of truce dinner, and sat. No one asked how I was. No one mentioned the lawsuit. But the tension was thick enough to slice with a butter knife. Jenna finally spoke, voice light. "Rachel, you look good." "Thanks," I said. "You too." It wasn't sincere. But it wasn't war either, just diplomacy under glass. Halfway through dinner, my cousin whispered, "I saw the video. You were incredible." I nodded. Quiet. Grateful. One person had seen it. One person understood I hadn't just won. I had survived. By dessert, I stood up to leave. I didn't make a speech. Didn't slam a glass or demand attention. I just looked at Jenna and said, "I hope next time you think twice before calling something a joke." She didn't reply. Didn't have to. Her silence was an admission. And mine was closure. It had been 3 months since the court ruling, since Jenna's forced apology went viral, since my name stopped trending for the wrong reasons. I thought things had finally quieted down until I got an email from a national news outlet. Subject line: request for interview, the Cyber Sister scandal. I stared at it for 5 full minutes. They wanted an exclusive, a sit-down interview. Just me, a camera, and the story I'd been forced to live. I wasn't sure how to feel. I'd spent years hiding behind screens, making other people's digital ghosts disappear. Now I was being asked to step into the light and explain how I exposed my own sister. Part of me wanted to say no, keep the peace. Let silence be my legacy. But another part of me, the part that remembered every client who had been slandered online and nearly lost everything, knew better. Visibility meant safety. And if people could see that fake screenshots had almost ruined me, maybe it would stop the same thing from happening to someone else. So I said yes. The interview was scheduled for the following week. Minimal crew, 1 camera, simple set. I wore black, no makeup, hair tied back, just the truth. The questions started off easy. What do you do for a living? How did you first find the inconsistencies? Then they got personal. How did it feel to discover your sister forged the messages? I paused before answering, like I'd been mugged in my own home. They nodded, scribbled something down. What would you say to people who think you went too far by taking her to court? I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. I didn't go too far. I just went far enough to stop her. And then came the last question. Do you forgive her? I looked directly into the camera, not at the journalist, not at the lights, just into the lens, where I imagined every young woman who'd ever been blamed for her own takedown. I don't forgive lies, I said slowly, but I believe in consequences. The interview aired 2 days later. It went viral within hours. Not because I cried, not because I said something explosive, but because I was calm, measured, undeniably honest. And sometimes, that's more powerful than rage. After it aired, my inbox flooded. Not with hate, but with stories. Victims of digital fraud. Teens who'd been deepfaked by jealous classmates. Women accused of things they never said, all because of a single screenshot. One message stood out. It read, I didn't believe anyone would ever take this seriously, until you. That's when I realized Jenna didn't just hand me a courtroom victory. She handed me a voice, and I was done being quiet. It's been a year now. The lawsuit is closed. The story's no longer trending. People have moved on. But I haven't. Not because I'm bitter, but because silence, now, feels earned. Not forced, not weaponized, but chosen. Jenna and I haven't spoken since Grandma's dinner. She moved cities, deleted half her socials, tried to start fresh. I didn't stop her. Everyone deserves a chance to rebuild, even if they first tried to burn someone else to the ground. My family tiptoes around the whole thing. No one mentions the trial, or the screenshots, or the thousands I lost while they were busy believing her. They've gone back to birthdays and holidays, without drama, without apology, without me, and I'm okay with that. Because sometimes peace looks like distance. My company is thriving. I now offer a new service, authenticity verification. It's used by schools, law firms, journalists, even dating apps. We catch lies before they spread. We teach people how to fight back without screaming, just like I did. One of my junior analysts once asked, do you ever wish it hadn't happened? I didn't even need to think. No, I said, because if it didn't happen, I'd still be quiet. I'd still be standing behind my sister's shadow, fixing her mistakes, never being seen. I wasn't proud of what Jenna did, but I was proud of how I responded, not with vengeance, but with evidence. Not by tearing her down, but by standing my ground. And maybe that's the real revenge. Not proving someone wrong, but proving you were right to believe in yourself all along. I still keep the apology framed in my office, not out of spite, out of principle. It reminds me that even the most beautiful lies fall apart when truth walks in. It just takes time and a little courage. Sometimes people ask if I'd ever accept Jenna back into my life. My answer? I already have peace. I don't need the person who broke it to validate it. This was never about ruining her. It was about refusing to let her ruin me. So when people ask what happened between us, I just smile and say, she told a story. And I finished it. What do you think about Rachel's decision? Was she too harsh, or was this the only way to truly protect herself? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories about family.